Don't let one bad leg haunt your parlay. Parlays turn into payouts, and now even near misses won't haunt your bet. The NFL season is here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is rewriting the rules with Ghost Leg, a new game-changing promotion that turns close calls into cold, hard cash. Best of all, it's available to all DraftKings customers. Here's how it works. Build any 3+ leg pregame NFL parlay on Sunday, apply your Ghost Leg token, and if one leg loses, DraftKings makes it vanish like it never existed and pays you out in cash for the rest. Last season, over 30 million parlays were lost by a single leg. This year, Ghost Leg gives those busted bets a second life. No more busted parlays that haunt you all season. With Ghost Leg, the bad leg vanishes. The payout doesn't. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code PFF. That's code PFF to unlock Ghost Leg, the promotion that makes one bad leg disappear and pays you out in real cash. Ghost your losses, get your payout in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
The Carolina Panthers traveled to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jags won this game pretty handily. I mean, this one was never closer than 0-0 to kick things off. I think the Jags controlled things the entire way. 26-10 was the final score here. Jacksonville's top 5 graded players in this one: linebacker Foyesade Oluokun with a 92.5, linebacker Devin Lloyd with an 86.9, tight end Brenton Strange with an 85.4, edge rusher Josh Hines-Allen an 82.9, safety Eric Murray an 81.0, and then Trevor Lawrence had a 63.0 in this one. In Carolina, their rookie wide receiver Tetairoa McMillan, their top-graded player, at a 78.9. Cornerback J.C. Horn, a 75.4. Offensive guard Robert Hunt, a 74.1. Mike Jackson at number 4 with a 73.6. And then defensive tackle Ashawn Robinson with a 69.9. Bryce Young in this game, a 71.1 overall PFF grade. Dalton, South told the story.
Look, we saw this all last year in Tampa Bay with Liam Cohen, that he wants a balanced offense. He wants to be able to have a two-dimensional offense. He's a guy, if he could run it for 200 and throw it for 200, he had a really good day that day. I think that's what you're looking at. You look at 63 play calls from Liam Cohen in this game, 30 runs, 33 passes. He wants it relatively balanced. This team ran for 186 yards, 6.2 yards per carry on their 30 design runs. Travis Etienne obviously did the most of that with just under 150. I think that's what you got. And you saw from this Panthers team, who had by far the worst run defense in football last year, that continued a bit in this game. 60.1 run defense grade as a team. That's still where you want to attack the Carolina Panthers, is on the ground if you can. Liam Cohen emphasized that. A great day to see from Travis Etienne. Somebody in that backfield had to step up. He was the ace in this game. I thought Trevor Lawrence was okay. There was some good and some bad. The accuracy was spotty, and it still kind of looked like he was figuring out the system and figuring out some of the vision to it as the game was going on. So there was some throws that were missed. Obviously, the interception wasn't great. Could have used a little more air on that ball. I thought Lawrence was okay, but at the end of the day, the Jags were able to control the pace with Liam Cohen's play calling and the run game. That's really the big thing that came out of this, because we've said for the last, several years, the Jaguars, they can't run the football. Mm-hmm. They just have it. It's such a, and last year especially, their offensive line, they have a hard time running the football. They found a way to do it. They got 200 rushing yards in this game. I need to actually see if they had that at all last year, if they had 200 yards rushing in any game last year. But Cohen in the play calling, you can see the influence in the offense. It's very much still a work in progress. I think it's not nearly all the way there to the success that they want it to be yet, but he's laying the foundation, and it looks a lot like it did with Tampa Bay last year.
Yeah, on Carolina's side of things, it just didn't look very confident and polished. I'll be honest. This game obviously ends 10-26, and I don't think the score, reflected that it was that close. But to be honest, Carolina scores sort of that late touchdown at the end. They had 3 points in this game until, 4:74 left in the game. They score a touchdown there. But they had 3 points up until that point. It just also felt like, as I kept watching that game, it always just felt like the play clock was always like at 0 when they were hiking the football. And sometimes, obviously, that's just going to happen in the game of football. But it felt like, okay, we're breaking the huddle. Now we're taking a look at things like, okay, like this. I see this pre-snap. Like, okay, this could be this look. And then it was like, oh, wait, 3, 2, 1, quick, hike the ball. And it just felt like whether it was that or timing up the pre-snap motion or like whatever it was, it just didn't feel super confident on Carolina's side of things when they were on the offensive side of the ball. And I felt like it was the opposite with Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence was asked after the game sort of like what the difference was, and Lawrence was like, I felt like again, I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially he was like, I felt like I had the answers to the test. Like I couldn't have felt more prepared about this game. When we broke the huddle, I had full confidence in what we were doing, why we were doing it, and they were able to go out and execute. Now, that doesn't mean that every single play is going to go correctly, but your number one job, you talk about sort of the X factors of being a head coach. You talk about buy-in. When you are building a team and building a roster, buy-in, commanding respect, that is the number one thing. Another major point of you being a head coach, especially if you are an offensive head coach, you have to instill confidence. You have to be able to not just explain to your guys what plays that we are running. You have to be able to explain to them why we are running them. This is why we are running this play. I am calling this play. And you don't have a full conversation when you're in the headset of your quarterback. You got to do that in training camp. You got to do that over the summer. If we're calling this is why we're calling it. And hopefully when the defense comes out, you go, okay, yep, they're in the exact look that we want them to be in for this play. Or you say, okay, they're in a different look. That means the progression might change a little bit here on this play. And obviously, like I'm sort of oversimplifying it there, but it felt like as I was watching that Carolina game, they were not nearly as quick to recognize where things were on offense. And it just felt like the offense was slow to identify. And I don't think this is all a Bryce Young thing. I'm not trying to like put this on Bryce. It just didn't feel like they had that tempo and confidence and timing that they needed to operate with to really be an offensive team to stay close in this game and win this game. It felt like they were still kind of playing in the preseason, in my opinion.
Yeah, a little bit. And I mean, I think you look at some of the adversity right now for this Panthers team. Here's what you're looking at. Their left tackle, Ike Ekwonu, was out for this game. Austin Corbett's back as the starting center, which is a big deal with everything you're talking about. He didn't play after week 5 last year with an injury. It was Cade Mays, but now Corbett's starting again, right? They just traded Adam Thielen, a reliable veteran receiver, and then 2 days after they traded him, you lose Jalen Coker for the first 4 games at least to an injury. So now you're thinner at wide receiver than you thought you'd be. You already have a really young football team when you talk about guys like Jatavian Sanders at tight end. So you have a young team trying to come together that's kind of dealt with some hurdles early in the season. And it actually, the more I think about it and some of the pieces that are missing all of a sudden, it doesn't necessarily surprise me that they were, it's not unprepared, but just not quite as far along as we thought they'd be right now. On top of the fact that I thought Anthony Campanile called a really good game, just changed the picture on Bryce a lot on defense. It was just he never got the same look twice in a row. So as a quarterback, you're already trying to diagnose everything in front of you, and then you're hoping my rookie number 1 receiver and my number 2 receiver in his second year is going to, and a young tight end room, and my center I didn't play with most of last year, and my backup left tackle. You're just hoping everyone else.
There's no tape on the Jags either.
Right.
It's week 1 of a new coaching staff. So again, I say all of this to this is what I sort of felt like I was watching with the Panthers, but that's not to say like it's going to be like this throughout the entire season. It was just I don't feel like Carolina, whether it was Canales or Bryce, had a confident feel for what the Jags were throwing out at them.
Agreed.
And there's no tape on it. There's no tape with these coordinators, with these players. So it's a really tough ask to do. But I think that's why you just saw them pretty slow out of the gate with this team. Most impressive for me was the Jags run game. I loved how good they were able to look. I think that Liam Cohen, for as much praise as he gets for what he did with Baker Mayfield and, what can he be for Trevor Lawrence, he ran the football. And you said that correctly with what they did in Tampa Bay last year. They were great at running the football. He was great at identifying what the offensive line does well, what his running backs do well, and leaning into that more. The most disappointing for me in this game was Xavier Legette. It is by no means over for Xavier Legette. He is going to continue to play this season. He has to play better. There's no debate about it. Xavier Legette in this game with no Adam Thielen, no Jalen Coker. Okay, 54.2 receiving grade, 7 targets, 3 catches, 10 yards, -3 yards after the catch. He has now played 17 games in his NFL career, and he has not had a single game receiving grade above a 68. He's never even had a game, one game in the 70s. It has to be better for a wide receiver that you rely upon a lot. Like that throw to the sideline. I'm not trying to put all of it on him, but like you've got to get 2 feet in bounds. Like you are an NFL wide receiver. You had plenty of space to make that catch. And that's like an encapsulation of Xavier Legette where it's like, man, we see it from you. Clearly, you have the strength for contested catches. You have some explosive ability to create that separation. You can be a vertical threat. You can be strong over the middle, but it's just the little nuances of the game that whether it's route running or creating those separations for a throwing window or getting 2 feet down at the sideline, like whatever it is, he has not taken that next step in the details of the game to be an effective NFL receiver consistently. And I think that's why Carolina goes out and they draft Ted McMillan when we thought they were going to draft defense. And they still needed defensive help. And they went out and they drafted Ted McMillan in the top 10 last year. I think it's because they realized that Legette was not going to be a wide receiver 1 for them. He at least has to be a wide receiver 2 for them. And right now, he has not had a single performance where he has even been a wide receiver 2 caliber guy at the NFL level. So again, it is in no way over for Xavier Legette. But these are the games where you need him to step up. You just traded Adam Thielen. You cut Hunter Renfrow. And then when you got rid of Thielen, you brought Hunter Renfrow back. And Jalen Coker's not in the lineup. If there's a time when Xavier Legette is going to shine, it is this time. And if he cannot shine while Jalen Coker's not in the lineup, now I'm getting worried. Yeah. Now I'm going to start getting worried about him.
Absolutely. This is a team that wants to throw the ball downfield, and he was brought in to be the downfield threat, and it hasn't. So 17 games in, it hasn't worked so far. I mean, the one thing you can point to as well, kind of said the same thing about Bryce Young right around this week last year, and that turned around the second half of the season. Some guys need more time than others, but they do need him to be better than this right now, that's for sure.
Most impressive? Most disappointing?
Let's go on the Jags defense. Like you mentioned, their highest graded player before, Foye Oluokun. You talk about stuff in the stat sheet. 9 tackles, 4 stops, interception, forced fumble.
He was stuffing the stat sheet.
He was stuffing it like Thanksgiving turkey.
There it is.
Forced fumble, pressure as a pass rusher, 92.5 cover. He just did everything. He was everywhere, and you want your middle linebacker to be everywhere in a game like this especially. And then on the other side, most disappointing, I'll look at a linebacker on the other side, and this was the part of the Panthers defense I had the most questions about is what's going on at linebacker. Christian Roseboom had a decent game, veteran, former Ram. Trevin Wallace, struggle. And you could tell, and I know you always loved him because he's a really good athlete, and there's that potential, right, that he could use that speed and athletic.
I always loved him.
Well, the athleticism, right? I mean, that's something you always talked about with Trevin Wallace, where it's like, he's a good enough athlete for this.
Well, sure, but I was very skeptical of him as a prospect.
But, right.
Yeah, I thought he got overdrafted.
And you see the instincts are lacking a bit still, right? And a lack of reps. He wasn't a starter last year. But, you love the speed, the athleticism.